coming together on this climb up toward the top of the Col d'Aspach. That's the composition of the break. It was Basson who started it together with Roux from the Jean de la Tour team. They've been joined by Cuesta and Voigt and Jalabert. This is the man Roux, probably one of the most experienced riders in this little breakaway group at the moment. And there is Cuesta, only a couple of victories in his career, including the overall victory on the Tour of the Basque Country. And here, that diminutive figure of Roux, you can see with a little small head on his bike. He's one of these born mountain climbers, compared with this big chunky chap here, Voigt, who, by the way, if the camera comes down onto his Look bicycle, most of the Look bikes are made with lugs and the tubing goes into lugs, but he's riding a special welded frame. I had looked at the other day. Well, it's up to, obviously, the team from Telecom and US Postal to lead the charge now, and they've got to work hard because 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the top of this climb, when they go over that, it's a funny sort of oh, he's abandoned, not off. Now then, that was a disappointment because Van der Velde crashed, and that means that that's thinning down the attempt of the US Postal team to take the third victory of the Tour de France, but certainly now with one less in the field. And Van der Velde is very much a chase man for the flatter parts, of course. That's thinned it down, so that crash then has put him out of contention. It can happen to anybody, and teams drop one or two riders through sickness or accident, but that certainly slimmed down the US Postal team. We talked earlier on the programme, Sean, and a lot of new visitors to our station and just tuned in will have not heard the early parts of our station, of our transmission, and I was then asking you about the strength of the US Postal team. Van der Velde's out now. How do you see the scene?
Well, he will be definitely missed, and as you said, for the flatter stages, he's a very good rider, and very important for the team to do the pulling on the front. And also Zanini gave up just a number of kilometres for him from Mape, so those riders starting to suffer, with this pace. So it doesn't help the US forces and Lance with the abandon of Van der Velde.
So the situation is, here on your screen you can see the leading riders, about 2 minutes 45 seconds up on the main group, and benefiting from it, the rider in the green and the white colours there is beginning to drive now, Sean. He's come forward to the front. He seemed to be sort of sitting at the back and let the rest do the towing, but he's obviously taking part now. He must have really gone through. He looked like he's going through a bad patch, but off he goes now again. If you were him and you were there up there as he is now, virtual yellow jersey on the road, and you've now got 5 riders, are you expected to play your part, or do you just sit in there and get pulled along?
Well, he should be really taking it a bit easier and get pulled along, because it's not his job to do the work with the race leader back the road. The other point is he's not the best of a climber, so later he could pay for this riding, and he could get left on the later climbs on the run in by these leaders, and Jalabert, of course, and Cuesta. Those guys would be better climbers. So I think we will not see Voigt riding for too long, because when the team car's allowed to come, I think he will be told to take it easy and just maybe do some of the riding when it's on the flat, but certainly on the climbs I don't think he will be allowed to ride for the rest of the stage.
Well, you can see the crowd out here. What a shame the weather's a bit on the chilly side, and we've had little showers, not fortunately at this moment, and the people brought out their wet weather gear too as well. And don't think we're going amongst the hobgoblins up in the mountains here when you see all these green hands waving. They're given by the PMU people. That's the equivalent of the tote. You go into the local tobacco when you're in a town, and you find there they've got the PMU, and you can bet on the horses and the trotters. They have a lot of trotting out in this part of the world, and so the PMU, they support the green jersey, the green points jersey, and they give away to the people on the side of the road these something great hands which they can wave to all and sundry. You can see the flags out there, tricolour, because this is the 14th of July, Bastille Day it is too, and they'll be very happy that they've got in this breakaway group Laurent Jalabert, who's been very much the French darling over the years. He was leader on the UCI classification for for many years. So they've got that famous rider, Laurent Jalabert, and undoubtedly everybody who's heard his name along the route will be just waiting for him to come through. And the other French rider in this 121, I think that's down to two riders. The two riders chasing, that's 121 down to the two riders chasing at the moment. That's Vermeaux and Echeverria, and further back then the main peloton about 2.5 minutes. So two French riders in that group, and here we're going back down to Echeverria and the other trace rider Vermeaux. These are the two men in between our leading group, and good to see Echeverria up there. This is the Una Echeverria, it's not David Echeverria, this is the Venezuelan part of the Echeverria family, and he's come over to join the Euskadi team, and he's been a useful addition to them too, because you can see the Pays Basque at the back down there. Well, that's the name which we know, the Euskaltel team, or at least you but know the Basque country, but the Basque word is Euskadi for that part of the world. And now attack's coming up here for one of the riders from the Benesto squad. Benesto, not the power they used to be in the days of the great Miguel Indurain, but now he's going across there, and these specialist climbers now beginning to revel in the undulations.
Yes, well, Benesto hasn't got any big presence, so Garcia Costa, I think he's under orders of the team to get across to this group. And 2 minutes 40 seconds the gap.
And there he goes then, Garcia Costa for Benesto.com. They've got to rebuild their team, the Benesto team. For so long, everybody rode for Miguel Indurain, and once a big man like that goes away, it does knock a hole in a team. It's, for instance, Marco Pantani, who, if you're tuning into Eurosport's coverage for the first time and haven't really caught up with what's happened in the Tour this year, in the wildcard selection, the organisers decided not to select the Mercato Nuno team with that flamboyant character, Pantani, because at the moment when they were doing selections, as you saw on the side of the road there, the stars and stripes being waved for Lance Armstrong coming through here, they decided not to select the team from Italy, Mercato Nuno, because they hadn't done very much this year as Angelotto starts to go off the front, and that meant that Pantani wasn't going to entertain us in the Tour de France of this year. Looking at what happened in the Tour of Italy, well, he was there or thereabouts during the Tour of Italy, but he'd been suffering from bronchitis. He wasn't particularly firing on all cylinders, so it does mean I can understand that the Tour de France didn't want to select a team on the basis of one man who may go through a bad patch, crash, or not be able to perform at his level, in the same way that Cipollini, who's entertained us over so many years with the sprint finishes in the Tour de France, and he's taken the yellow jersey result. They didn't select his team either on the basis they hadn't done very much at the open part of this year. So Sean, when one rider in a team sort of loses form, or goes out or retires like Indurain goes, it does seem to blow that particular team, and they've got to go back to the drawing board. Whereas other teams, for instance the Credit Agricole team, they seem to be always able to pull out riders who may not be in total domination, but they keep doing a little bit here, a little bit there, what I call a mixed team, and that to me seems to be a very sensible way of doing things. But you've ridden with teams where you've got precise leaders, one or two leaders or not. What's your opinion of the way, like Saiko went round one-man Cipollini, and like Mercato just going with Pantani?
Well, when you look at Pantani, it's a bit of a risk with Pantani because he's not consistent, and he has never been consistent. But with Benesto and Indurain, well, you can understand why the team was built around him. When you look 5 Tour de France's on the race he won, the riders in the team, they had no intentions of going out there and winning races. They were just to work for Indurain. You had some for the mountain stages, some for the flat, and their job was just to ride for Indurain in every race that Indurain was in the team with them. So when he leaves, well, then it's a big hole in the team, and it's something that they need to build over a number of years. And I don't think Benesto were prepared for that, because Indurain, maybe he retired a bit quicker than they had expected, so they were left there and they didn't have anyone coming up, a younger guy coming up to take him along, and they've been struggling over the last couple of years to get some results.
So that's a team which is not as strong as it used to be. Now this, I say, new kids on the block in the orange here. Good to see the Euskadi team being selected this year, because they really were riding well at the early part this year. Going out of the back end of last year, and into this year, there are points awarded by the UCI, and then they get added together for the riders to have the team's position on the UCI team classification. And so automatically, I think it was either 10 or 12 teams that went into the selection process as guaranteed to go into the Tour de France. And then from then on, based upon the early season performances, another set of teams were identified, and finally there was the wildcard selection for the last 5 teams, as Algren now starts to jump across here. There were some eyebrows raised when 8 French teams got into the race, when it was thought that probably 2 of them were a bit on the weak side, but nevertheless the French, particularly now today on Bastille Day, are prepared to show, and they've already here De La Tour team, who automatically qualified. Well, not like their early season results added to what they've done last year, got them into the Tour. Last year they thought they were going to qualify, but they didn't for the Tour, and the owner of the De La Tour business was about to try and take the UCI, the Tour de France to court, and also the UCI to arbitrate and get his team in. He didn't get it in last time, but he's got it in this time already. We've seen Brochard riding well. We've got the man Roux down the road now. Algren, who's got the points of Kingdom, just comes steaming past the chase group and trying to get up here to get more points in the Kingdom Cup. I think he's recognised that the Escatel team are going to make life very difficult indeed. He's gone over the top. He's now, what, I think he was 7, he must be 5, 6, 7, 8 over the top of that second category climb. Just got past Angluto and Garcia Costa, and this is the group he's got to chase. So there's his teammate at the back of the group here for the De La Tour squad, with that sort of pinky stripe going all the way top of his shorts, and that's Luke. He's been riding for some years now. He started out with the Castorama team in 1993, so that makes him come up to 8 years he's been a pro, and in that time he'd notched up some 18 victories, and so he's added a lot of experience and UCI points to the De La Tour team, and he's riding a great job now. But I would suspect once he hears that Algren is coming up, or trying to come up to him, then he might be waiting for his teammate to come across. Here they are. So Algren's got a stepping stone. He's got these two to get up to. Vermont from the Lotto team. Again, another young rider begin to show well, and taking with him Echeverria, the Venezuelan rider. Just shows you how international this race is. Venezuelan and a Belgian back there, and up here we've got a couple of French riders with Laurent Jalabert and Roux. The Spanish rider at the back here, you can see with the blue pants, that's Cuesta, and the green and white colours is of Jens Voigt, the German rider, and we've got the Italian rider Basso, who's just going through to the front, being chased down outside by one from Venezuela and Belgium, and then another Frenchman trying to come across. And the 2 contenders for the crown this year in the Tour de France, Ulrich from Germany and Armstrong from the US of A. Just shows you the mixed bag of nations we've got in the Tour this year. And as now Lampre Dijken, one of their riders, coming across here to try and join up, or is he going off the back? They're fragmented all over the place. I'll just wait till he settles down for him. In fact, he's coming up because that's Garcia Costa in front, Angluto and Algren, so he's come across to join up with them too. So we're beginning to get a nice little chase group here with just those 2 riders, Echeverria and Vermont. But I don't think this lot are going to hang on in there very much. I think the rider from Lampre Dijken, I think, is Bertogliatti, who's just gone across to join them. Going through yet again through the towns are all on fret, and in fact the local people here have been putting together a rainbow of colours, 5 kilometres of pennants, 50,000 small flags and 300 French flags decorating the streets of the villages. Out en fête, because this is Bastille Day. The crowd here packing the sides of the road to see this breakaway group go through, being led at the moment by Laurent Jalabert. Gosh, when the French know he's out there, they're going to get very excited indeed. Then taking over and going to the front now is Ivan Basso, the Italian from the Fassa Bortolo team. The green and white of the Great Agricole rider Jens Voigt. And then moving through in the red, white and blue of the Cofidis team is the Spanish rider Cuesta. And then with the yellowish coloured jersey with the pinky bits on too, another French rider is Laurent Roux. They're back at the back here now, both the 2 French riders. with Laurent Jalabert as they take it in turns for them to ride through. Look there's the Danish flag as well. All the way along the course you'll see the amazing selection of flags, but by far outweighing any other nation are the flags of France, and no less than 300 French flags. The local ADT have put up the tourism development group. They put up special money for 300 special French flags, 50,000 small bunting flags as well. Total of 5,000 metres, that's 5 kilometres of pennants as well. And at some point we're going to see a hot air balloon brightening up the skyline along the Bruche Valley and the Dillon Pass too. This is all for the Bastille Day, the 14th of July. Mike, what about this? Will this Tour de France favour the climb? We had the first chance to speak to you recently, but been all sort of ripped to pieces. We're not allowed to distort it, but talk to us about the course. What do you think?
Well, without question, David, this is the first real test of this year's Tour de France, is it not, with these 5 mountains in the Haute-Rhin area of the Rhine. And I'm surprised so far that we haven't seen any of the typical climbers, the Pantani type characters. I know he's not in the race this year, of course. You might recall that last year we saw a little Colombian fella come out and take the Mountains Prize, Botero. I wonder whether we're going to see anything of him yet. This is a very, very testing course indeed, and of course next Tuesday, as you know, we're on all day with the famous stage up to the top of Alpe d'Huez. Sooner or later, these big climbers have got to make their presence felt.
Mike, your opinion too about seeing these lads, from the Euskaltel-Euskadi team, because you've been doing, I think, a few more of the Spanish race than I've done this year. I was very impressed with them in the Tour of the Basque Country, but they've really caught my eye from the start of the season. What do you think?
Well, I'm very pleased, David, that they got a ride in the Tour de France. Yes, I've been very, very impressed with them. The 2 Echevarrias, as we've talked about. I like Roberto Laiseca as well. He's a bit of an all-rounder. He's not afraid of having a go. Watch out for him, number 117, if you should spot him at all. And of course, already today we've seen some good early attacks from Alberto Lopez Dumoulin, number 118. They're not afraid to have a go. They're not the biggest names around in the pro peloton, but they're prepared to have a go, and they're giving their sponsors good coverage. Everybody will know, oh yeah, the men in orange, Euskaltel, oh yeah, great team, going well. And that's what it's all about. They're really enjoying themselves. I get that impression, David, don't you?
Yes, I do, and it seems to be that in Spain, they always had lots of teams, and we'll talk to Sean about it in just a moment now, but the Spanish just love cycle racing. I think it's the number 2 sport they've got, and certainly we've gone to a patch where we talk about how Indurain is no longer with us. They seem to sort of dominate Spanish cycling, but so you've been watching many Spanish races this year. I think you did the back end of the Tour of Spain last year when I clocked off the Olympics, and I'm very impressed with the Spanish racing. There was a time when there was a time when Spanish racing was for Spanish riders, and it was fought out amongst themselves. It's getting much more international now, and I think that is also benefiting their style of riding.
It certainly is. The only fly in the ointment is that they've already lost 2 of their team, you must remember. They lost Iker Flores, who had a crash very early on. He went out on stage 2, and then earlier this morning we heard Del Olmo also had gone. So they are down to 7, so they're just getting a little bit thin on resources, so they're going to have to watch things now from here on in.
Well, they're dropping now, the specialist climbers, including the Spanish experts at riding up against gravity, and they're going down into the valley here before we go back up to the Col de Calvary. Head then, the Col de Calvary, an aptly named climb, I should think. Many of the hopes may be dashed there. Stay with us on Eurosport then. We're going to have a little break now to get our breath back. Do come back to us after this. The leaders on this stage, 7 of the Tour de France, 162 kilometres north, Strasbourg to Colmar. The riders out here in front are descending the climb of the Col d'Aspach, and when they get down into the valley, they will have something round about 103 kilometres under their belt of this 162 kilometres north. We're getting to the second category climb just down the road. They go up there and then over the top into a small drop drop and then back up again for the third cat, and then right the way down to Colmar. Beautiful rolling countryside. You can see it here, these great climbs as well. If you're looking for riding over rolling countryside, by the way, and you'd like to join Phil Liggett, the president of the Cyclist Touring Club, on a ride on August the 19th, then Phil and Friends is a ride that he's organising as the president of CTC, and the Cyclist Touring Club backing him in these endeavours. And you can join Phil. The entry fee is £7.50 for a rolling ride. Starts in Sheffield, goes over Holm Moss and some of the climbs around there. It's a leisurely ride, by the way, in lots of little groups, and I mention it because it is for charities, and Phil's a very good friend of mine. He's actually working on the American channel at the moment, and the telephone number at the CTC if you want to enter is 01483 417 217. Paul Sherman's going to be there. I have threatened to arrive, but I think I need a motor car with some silver on the side called a door handle for which to hang on to on the climb. But a lot of cycling stars will be out there joining Phil on that special ride for charity. Mike.
Yes, well, you'll notice, David, you'll notice that Algon very cleverly came out of the peloton towards the top end of the climb there, because he knew this was a second category climb that just gone over, and points go down to 10th place, and he got some vital points there. He crossed the line in only 8th place, okay, but nevertheless vital to keep up that running total, to keep him clear of Messrs Brochard, Samot and Verbrugge. So he was thinking very cleverly there, even though he wasn't up with the break. He's still got points, and he's extended his lead in the King of the Mountains competition, although of course we've still got 2 more climbs to go. The Col du Calvaire, which is a second category climb, and the last one of the day, David, the Collet du Lange, which is a third category climb.
That lies ahead then, and we've been talking during the day about the impact of the Spanish riders on this race and in cycle racing in general. Riding with, I think how long did you ride with Cass? That was a Spanish team, wasn't it, Sean? And how do you rate the Spanish scene then compared with it is now? I'm not saying you were riding yonks and yonks ago, but it's nice to see how it's developed. I've got the feeling that Spanish cycling has always been strong, but there's something vibrant about it now. I'm not saying it wasn't vibrant in your day, but there's something which it seems to become much more international, even back on their home soil.
Yes, well, they certainly have. In the last years, they've more teams came into the Spanish cycling, and much more international teams. There was always a lot of Spanish teams, and a number of them who would go out to the Tour of France and the Tour of Italy and those races. But Spanish racing has always been good. The Tour of Spain and the small race like the Tour of Catalonia, Tour of Pays Basque is a very, very big event, and the amount of interest down there in Pays Basque, they get a huge follow, and the amount of people that come out is like Tour of France style on the climbs early in the year. So it's always been good, and they get quite a lot of television coverage live. So that's what keeps cycling living.
Well, Sergey Ivanov coming along here. Ivanov, I think, past champion of Russia, coming on his own. He went away with an early breakaway, and so he looks like he's trying to get back up there too, or that leading group. And the gap now 1:45 for the chase group. So as we went over the top of the summit there, it was Jalabert, Cuesta, Voigt, Brooks, Basso, 1:32 Echeverry and Vermeaux, 2:35 to Olgland, Angluto and Garcia Costa, 2:45 the peloton. Just pick up, Sean, some of the earlier placings on the climbs, because we had no less than 3 sprints now, and we've gone over these 2 third category climbs and a second category climb, with another second category, the Col de Calvier, lying ahead of us.
Yes, well, the first climb of the day was at 48.5 kilometres, and Lopez de Munen was the first over that climb, with Algon second and Kivalek was third. The second climb was 67 kilometres, Col de Fuchy. Lopez de Munen again was the first on that climb, and Algon was second, and Atienza was third. And on the last climb, which we went over at 90.5 kilometres, Jalabert was the first over that, Cuesta second, and Voigt was third.
Right, so that's the rundown. Thanks, Sean, for what's been happening so far. And a fascinating day. If you just joined us for the stage of the Tour de France today, Bastille Day, it's been full of drama right the way from the very start, including a crash to Van der Velde that's depleted the numbers in the US Postal team supporting the endeavours of Lance Armstrong to win his 3rd consecutive Tour de France, get a hat-trick. As these two riders now, what they're trying to do, deciding whether they should go back to the main group or keep going. There seems to be some sort of dispute going on here, Sean. So there's a Venezuelan and a Belgian trying to talk, and I don't suppose the Venezuelan speaks much Flemish.
Well, Vermouth seems to be talking to Chavarria, saying that, well, we're not going to get across this gap, it's too great, it's 130, and he seems to be saying, like, there's no point in bashing ourselves out here for nothing, and he seems to be saying, well, let's just take it easy and be caught up by the bunch again, and but Chavarria seems to be still want to go for it, and he's still pulling it along, and that often happens if you go out after a break and the break has got a minute and a half or 2 minutes. It's difficult to bridge that gap, and sometimes you go out and you ride for miles and miles and you never make any great impression. So often the decision comes that you just say, well, forget it, we're not going to get across this one, and we'll forget it for today.
Well, I don't know if you gave it out, Sean, because I've been trying to juggle with some paper here, but I've just read on the old computer that Tyler Hamilton actually has had a puncture, so it's not a good day for the US Postals, although they are still riding fairly strongly. They've lost one rider, just had a puncture, he's got to drive to get back again. A good day though for the French, because in this breakaway group we've got Laurent Jalabert here, who won the stage into Verdun this year, come back in fine style, a real gutsy performer. I began to worry as he was coming towards what I thought was end of his career after that crash when he fell off the ladder. There he is, 131 on his back, as to whether Laurent would just go through the motions this year, but he hasn't by any means, has he? And just your comments about Laurent Jalabert, because people likened Laurent Jalabert to Sean Kelly, look, he's been a great single-day rider, a good chap taking the green jersey too in the Tour de France. I think that's a good thing to liken the two viewing performance, but how do you rate him going on still now, eh?
Yes, well, just first of all on our screen there, I think Voigt, he has persuaded Chavarria to throw in the towel and forget the chase, so Vermouth has won the argument here, but Jalabert, yes, he's had a great career, and in his early days he was really a sprinter, and he developed into an all-rounder and became a good time trier, very good in the mountains, and there was a number of years there where he looked like he was a Tour de France winner, and there was a lot of talk about in the French papers that he could win.
With you, you've been Tour de France winner.
Well, exactly the same as in my career, and he never managed to pull off the Tour de France, but he did win the Tour of Spain, and a lot of other major races, so he's had a fabulous career, and the last number of years he's had some accidents. He had a crash there on the Tour in Armentières some years ago, and I think that scared him a lot in the sprint. Since that, we've never really seen him contesting the big bunch sprints, and of course this year he fell from a ladder and he was out for the beginning of the season, all the classics. He came back in the Flèche Wallonne, I think it was, so we might see his best tour now for a long time, because he's had a very easy early season, and sometimes the guys can come into very good shape in the Tour de France, and Jalabert seems to be getting that, so I don't think he will be suffering from tiredness, certainly not. So we could see one of his best tours for many years.
Well, looking down his records, by the way, he had no less than 28 victories in 1995. There's not many riders getting into double figures, but over the years, if you look back for Jalabert in 1993, had 17 victories, 11 in 94, 28 in 95, 15 in 96, 22 in 1997, 13 in 1998, 1999, 14. You see here Armstrong discussing this. Oh, there they are, going back then, the Mavic team car, the neutral service, just giving these lads a bottle as they go through, and that, by the way, that's a new sponsor we've got here, the water. It's one of the Nestle groups that have come in this year. They certainly have not had any problems getting the level of sponsorship to run this race, this start of the Tour de France, and there those two riders now, as Sean was saying, deciding enough is enough and going back into the group. I'm running down Jalabert's performances because I know that Laurent has a lot of support in Britain. Somehow that, I don't know, various people appeal to, and I don't know what it is about Laurent Jalabert. I've had lots of letters over the years with great number of Jalabert supporters in Great Britain, so that's why I've been running down some of his 150 victories. Now the US Postal taking up the chase. That man here in the green pants, he's the danger man because he is in second spot over on general classification this morning to his teammates, Credit Agricole rider Stuart O'Grady. He was 26 seconds down, and technically he is now race leader on the road. Bobby Julich in third spot this morning, also Credit Agricole, was 27 seconds down on O'Grady, who didn't look like he was riding too strongly earlier on in the stage today. And we've got this one big climb ahead of us, and I just thought, what about you, Sean, that if Stewie can stay with it up this long climb now, we've got about 10 miles of climbing to the top of this second category climb, and gets down the other side, there'll be no problem. That short third category climb, it looks like he may just about hang on to his jersey, because surely with his teammate down the road, this has got to take some of the pressure off him.
Yes, it's definitely going to take the pressure off, and the team has had an easy day. They haven't had to do any riding with Voigt up the road. So if Stuart O'Grady can, recover a bit, we see him the first climb when it was going very fast. He was in a little bit of difficulty, but sometimes riders go through a bad section for 8 or 10 kilometres in a climb when it starts out very quickly into the first climb, and they go through a very difficult period. But they can come out of that and settle into the race and finish very strong. And I've seen that on many occasions, so we could see O'Grady staying up with the leaders here to the end of this stage, and I think the next two climbs are not the most difficult. I think the last one was the first of the second category climbs was the most difficult, I believe. So possibly he can stay in there and hold on to his jersey if they start pulling these guys back in the end. But looking down the classement, in the general classement, Jalabert, he's 25th at 3:19, so he's a danger man, and that's why the US Postals, I think, they are more worried about Jalabert and maybe Didier Roos, who was also at 3:48 in 30th position, and Ivan Basso, who was at 43rd at 4:55. So those are a lot of danger men up there, and I don't think it's Voigt is the big danger man to the US Post. I think to some of the other guys, the likes of Jalabert.
Do you think they're leaving a bit late though, Sean? Because the gap there, about 3.5 minutes now. I know we've got this second category climb that they're climbing up now, but once they get to the top of that one, I won't say it's all downhill to finish, because once they get over there, they will have covered 124 kilometres. But down in towards the finish of the race, then there's only a quick run down almost, isn't there? So are they going to put themselves at risk by not going that bit harder? Because this is a bit of a drag of a climb, but then it's quick down, quick up, and off you go down the other side.
Yes, well, they're not worried about today's stage. Really, it's just to keep Jalabert at a point where he has only 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and not to leave him take 7 or 8 or 10 minutes, where he can finish then with 5 minutes in advantage. That's what they're working to, the US Postals. Just keep Jalabert at 3 minutes, and if Voigt takes the jersey today, they're not concerned about that. They're just thinking of the general classement in the days to come, and keep these guys finish at 2.5-3 minutes behind this group of Jalabert and Voigt.
Yes, because neither of those two, are they? Jalabert or Voigt are great mountain climbers, are they? So you've got 53 kilometres on your screen now. Actually, from the top of the climb, it's 38 kilometres to the finish. So we're getting very close to the point where I won't say it's all over bar the shouting, because the French will be really roaring. And we had a graphic earlier on that Mike Smith put out showing the winners of the Tour de France on Bastille Day, and it was Jalabert that got that one into Mende, and we also had Vincent Barteau got it, and we did have it with Brochard. So Jalabert, if he gets the victory today, and nobody by there would be giving him free handouts, if these 5 men stay away, there's going to be a bit of a sprint, and we'll talk about that later on if that's the way it is. And there you go, you can see the jerseys there. Basso riding for Fassa Bortolo up in front now with the blue pants. Cuesta there in the red, white and blue riding for the Cofidis team. Voigt in the green and white riding for Credit Agricole, and the other rider in there from the Jean de la Tour team, Roux, is in I can't describe it, a yellowish colour at the back, darkish blue pants with a pinky strip across. He did pick out Laurent Jalabert here with the red stripe, his CSC team at the moment. looking quite good, quite happy with what he's doing at the moment. So that's an easy jersey to pick out at the moment. And yes, there's the John Latour jersey on the other side. And so you now see all these jerseys and the riders. And certainly Voigt, the powerful man that he is, when we get to the Alpe d'Huez, for instance, which we're giving you all day on Eurosport, right from the very start of that day stage up to the top of that phenomenal climb, then you're quite right, Sean, there's no way that Voigt or Jalabert are going to get up there against people like Armstrong and Ulrich. So perhaps they're saying, well, let's take it easy. We shall see. Because look, that doesn't look to me, Sean, like they've got any great desire to pull that group back. What do you think?
No, certainly not to stop pulling the group back, because if you do that, well, you're into the same situation again where there's going to be many attacks, and you have to maybe riders who get away in a breakaway can be more dangerous maybe than the ones that are up here. So the US postals are just going to ride a tempo here and keep this hover around the 3 minutes, and that's all they've got to do, and keep Jalabert and the rest of this Voigt and Rooks, keep them from taking too much of a great advantage, and that's what they're setting out to do at this moment.
Now, if Stewie loses the jersey, we just saw him back there, O'Grady, and there on the left-hand side in green and white is yet another of the critical riders, Bobby Julich, poised to strike if the other team, that lot, get caught back again. Stewie, I think, will be a bit upset about that, but that's bike racing, that's team tactics anyway. And also it means that the money stays with the Credit Agricole, because every day that you're in a leader's jersey, you get a lump of money, not a lot, but a few bob to put in the bank, so they'll keep it. There is Ulrich, but just the orange jersey on the left-hand side, and looking very menacingly with those little up-tilted yellow spectacles. I think that he is just looking confident now at the back of that group led by the US Postal, so he's not beyond a pressure either. He did have a flurry further down the first climb of the day when he launched himself up there and caused a minor panic. I think it was just a sort of, well, let's show the US Postals that I'm still here, but a touch of that. But it seems to have gone quiet. Why was it then, Sean, that at the beginning of this race we saw a real rip-roaring climb up that first climb of the day when Ulrich decided to go off down the road? He sent Cloden down as well, as this little group coming back now have decided to knock it on there. Why was it they went like that, and yet now they're prepared to sort of just cruise along?
Well, it was a point of the race where there was a lot of action before that and at that moment, and there was a lot of attacks, groups going up the road getting caught, other groups attacking immediately. It was a very hard section of the race. The hill was quite a difficult one, and the race was really on, and I think Ulrich maybe was just having a test to see what reaction he would get from Armstrong, and or possibly they were somebody up in that break who was a danger man, because there was a number of riders 15 to 17, and we only see a small number of the riders up there, so that could have been the case also. I think it was just really to test Armstrong to see what sort of a reaction, see how he was going, that Ulrich was out to do.
Looking at number 5 then, George Hincapie, very experienced rider, and sort of has there Ekimov, the Olympic time trial champion, on your screen, and behind the group here still the hovering riders from various teams just waiting and watching, trying to keep the lid on things. Camera may go back up here, so I'm trying to spot for you Lance Armstrong, the pink jerseys here of the Telecom squad, hovering to just around about the back end of the wheels of Ulrich, and yes, it looks to me like just a controlled day at the moment, Sean.
Yes, it's definitely settled down now, and I think the advantage of the 5 riders around the 3 minutes, that's calmed things down. We see at one moment there was a lot of attacks from Angaluto and quite a number of guys behind it. It got a bit, they were getting a bit nervous again, but when those were pulled back, it settled down now, and I think we will see just the US Postals just continue on setting the pace for quite a bit more into this stage. Possibly in the last climb we will see some more attacks, but I think until then we will see it the same as what we're seeing on our screens now.
So, situation then settling down, so that if that group does stay away, well, my goodness, if Jalabert wins the stage, the whole of France, I think, will celebrate Bastille Day even more than they're going to do so just now. There's a special reason, I'm just trying to pick up on the computer here, about the Bonhomme climb that we're going over, that it's been only one time in the mounting competition in the Tour de France in the past, and I was searching for it because those of you who are regular listeners to Eurosport will know that I'm a great supporter, or was a great supporter, of Fausto Coppi, and it was in 1949 in a time trial. Fausto Coppi put the best time up on the climb up here to the top of the Col de Bonhomme, which is 950 metres above sea level. So that's something which is back there in history, and that's a little bit of note for you. Going on to the leading group here, you see the rain is beginning to come down here, and the weather persisting here. They have got a strong headwind, but they should be able to keep it up, and Despenston and strongmen stay with it. Getting towards the back end of the race now. The determination here on the face of Roux, a very experienced rider indeed for the Jean de la Tour team. There is Ulrich. We're going very close to the German border. In fact, we're turning in towards Colmar shortly. The wind will be on their shoulders. It's been a headwind all day long. The national championship jersey of Germany for Ulrich. And all these riders here. Well, it started off the stage today, a very spirited stage indeed, but it seems to quieten down now. The composition of that leading group means that certainly, provided it stays that way, Jens Voigt, the team companion of... I'm just 4:30, just waiting there, come over the headphones. 4:30 is the gap. Lance Armstrong in the middle of your picture, just being accompanied by Ulrich. They are never far apart, and in fact all the top riders usually track each other through, and anybody else who's in the top 10 places won't be far away from Armstrong and Ulrich at the moment. So there we are, settling down. Let me nip back into a little bag of facts and emails that I've got. We just picked up there on the far side, the yellow jersey of Suragrey. He seems to settle down a bit now, and in fact I had one from Richard Wharf from the Congleton Cycling Club, not far from the Cheadle Trying, if my memory serves me correct. They've got a bypass round Congleton. It's a lovely old town. If you're up in that part of the world, just nip in and see it. You just have all the traffic going through it. Nice part of the world. Anyway, Richard Wharf said that why are there no female riders in the Tour? Is this because they're not allowed to ride, or the level of fitness is not good, or aren't they interested? I'll tell you, they would be interested, but there's a vast difference between the levels of bike racing in this Tour than those which the ladies normally race. For instance, they do have the Tour Feminin, and at one time it used to be part or running ahead of the Tour de France. Now it's a separate race in its own right, run by a different organisation, and their stages are a lot short, about 2/3 the length of the stages we have here. Yes, they're perfectly capable of riding a long distance, and I remember that Beryl Burton and Mike Smith back there in the studio, I remember Beryl too, that she used to ride 12-hour races and used to beat the men and beat hell out of them. But there's a lot of difference between time trialling and road racing, and so apart from the male-female aspect, certainly the women to race 2,500 miles, as Roux here, going through a lot of suffering. Women can suffer certainly, but this race, the Tour de France, takes you to a different level of suffering. Also, you couldn't really have a composite team at a professional level. There are some women that ride for the same sponsors as the road riders do, but generally speaking, you couldn't get just one woman into a team, which would be maybe 22 riders at the start of the season, and have one woman in there to ride the Tour de France. It just wouldn't work out to Richard Wolff. An interesting question anyway. So nevertheless, they do have their own race, and the women do, in British Cycling Federation, they do race against the third category and junior riders too, because they can stand the same distance. And the only time I've seen women and men riding a road race together above the level of thirds and juniors was in the Spenco 500-mile race in Texas in America, of all places. It was a 500-mile race, and they had mixtures of men and women, and they also had a relay as well, relay riders, and they had tandem riders too. It was an unbelievable race, and Alan Rushton arranged for a group of the Continental pros to go over there, and Beryl Burton also rode that one, as did people like Keith Lambert and Dudley Hayton. It was an outrageous race, but we all mixed in there, tandem riders, team riders, together with women and men. It went through the night, it chucked it down with rain, and I was doing the commentary there, and about a day after it finished, or a day and a half after it finished, one man came in on his bicycle, and he was way outside the time limit, and he said, can I get a certificate saying I've finished it? They said, okay, we'll give you that, but you're outside the time limit. Where have you been? He said, well, I set off, he said, he'd only got about 10 bucks in his pocket, about £5, and he rode this race, and he got so tired and hungry, he had nowhere to sleep because everybody rode through the night, but he got tired. He slept in the police station in the cells one night. They gave him some food to go on with, and further down the road he got bitten by a dog, and this bedraggled American came in. I mean, that was an outrageous race, but that's when we mixed everybody together. So, Mike, just again, now the question which we've had coming in here, then, which you can probably ask to the people up on the 4th floor in Eurosport. Are you ready?
Oh,
Mike Smith,
fire away.
Yes, right. Make a note of this one. It came to me, but you're best. You won't know it now. But the question has come from Stuart Holsworth from the East Bradford Cycling Club.
Oh yes, that's my club. Hello, Stuart.
Right. now then, his question, which I'm sure other people would like to know, he said that I've looked at the Eurosport website and the Tour website. Disappointed I can't receive a live video feed of the Tour through the internet. However, this is available in the USA. When will this be available in the UK? Now, you won't be able to answer that now, Mike, but you talk to lads who operate the buttons up there, and I know that some of the people from the US Postal came to Tour de France last year and were talking to me that they were listening out in America to the commentary which you're listening to now out there in Great Britain. It was coming over through their computers. So perhaps, Mike, as we seem to be going to a break now, don't answer it at the moment, but he says, best wishes, Stuart Holsworth, to Sean Kelly and Miles Smith. His computer's gone on the blink here, but I'm not sure it's Miles Smith or Mike Smith. Perhaps you'd like to find out for us, Mike, why you can't get it over the web, but they can in America. Okay?
Well, I'll make some inquiries, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow.
Too technical for me by far. Right then. Some weird and wonderful shots on our pictures now as we still get that 5-man breakaway group away. It looks like they may stay with us to the finish. I hope you will do too. We're going for a short break. Well, here we are then, this breakaway group of riders, and the last time check we got is well over 4 minutes, by the way, now. So you see them going through. At the front, ploughing hard, Cuesta, the Spanish rider for the Cofidis team. A quick chat here to the man who's going to take over the yellow jersey. This 4:45 stays it is. That's Jens Voigt, the German. Now, the German border is not far from here, and there'll be a lot of Germans out to see the finish, but all eyes will be on Laurent Jalabert. As look, it says, well, they'll be looking at to Laurent Jalabert. This is the Bastille Day, and if he gets a stage victory, then there's going to be fireworks all over the place. There'll certainly be fireworks tonight anyway, as their motto is on your screen, and the green and white also is Bobby Julich. The man in the yellow jersey this morning was also from the Craig Agricole team, and out there, Stewie O'Grady in this main group will be feeling, I think, confident that it'll stay with his team. Disappointment to lose it, but Stuart will also be aiming for the green jersey by the time we get to the finish of the Tour de France in 2 weeks' time on the Champs-Élysées, and so the thing will change quite a bit, I'm sure, today. This man Mollo, well, he won't take up the yellow jersey today, but maybe sometime he'll challenge when we get up into the mountains. Well, we have. Can I talk to you two? Right. The Irish continue to arrive. I've just been talking about the Champs-Élysées, and that Stuart O'Grady wants to be on the road wearing the green jersey of the points jersey up and down the Champs-Élysées. Alongside me, a man who's won the green jersey 4 times, Sean Kelly, and somehow coming in here, the leprechaun himself has arrived, the man who's worn the yellow jersey on the Champs-Élysées. Stephen Roach, the first time we've trapped you in a commentary box. Good afternoon. Your opinions of this Tour de France so far?
Well, it's been, in my opinion, a fabulous Tour de France so far. We've seen the jersey changing shoulders a couple of times. We've seen some very fast stages. We've seen some great attacking from different riders, different teams, and generally we get the feeling there's an awful lot of ambitious guys in there at the moment, and by no means have shot their bolt and given up. There's an awful lot more to come here, I think, on the Tour de France.
Stick your neck out. Who's going to take the yellow jersey up and down the Champs-Élysées barring accidents?
Well, I think Armstrong has to be the outside favourite because he's won the Tour twice already, but I think it's not going to be an easy one this year because Ulrich is on very good form at the moment, but there's an awful lot of guys that had a good Tour last year, kind of new guys to the Tour, like Belocchi, Botero, Eras, guys that have kind of had a good Tour last year, have confirmed this year with good results in the prologue. They're still in there with not too far from the big guns on GC, and I reckon they're going to have a kind of festival when we get to the really big mountains, because we have the final time trial, 62 kilometres, 2 days from the end in Paris. And if they want to have some chance of being yellow on the Champs-Élysées, they'll need at least 2 minutes ahead of the likes of Ulrich and Armstrong.
Now, looking at Ulrich, he looks a bit slimmer, eh?
Well, I mean, he's done an awful lot more this year than he's ever done, and which is a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But I mean, this is, for me, it's a lot of propaganda around Ulrich. We always say, oh, he's 5 kilos overweight going into the Tour and so on and so forth. But I've never been able to lose 5 kilos in a week or 2 weeks. So I feel that maybe we've been talking a lot about the weight Ulrich has supposed to have had on him. In actual fact, he hasn't had that much. Maybe been using the weight as an excuse for his lack of form, maybe. But this year maybe he's a little bit lighter, maybe. But he's done the Giro this year. Well, last year he's never done the Giro before. So and he's had a good winter as well. So and he has a lot of extra motivation this year, because 1997 now was 4 years ago. So it's a long, long way away.
I didn't want to stress the weight thing, but I brought it in deliberately because you look a bit chubby at the moment. Have you been off the bike? What have you been up to?
You're talking to Sean or me?
No, you.
Oh, sorry.
Look, he just rode across America last year. And he's running every day.
Well, I have great plans. I have great plans, for running and cycling. But unfortunately, the last 2 months, I'd had to work in my hotel in the south of France, and I also had when I got out of kind of my hotel running and everything else, I got an ingrown toenail. I ended up having an operation, then a second operation. So, to be honest with you, I haven't ridden the bike now in 2.5 months, which is punishment in itself, because I love riding the bike. But I have great plans now. Hopefully, at the end of this week, my toe will be okay. So I have my running shoes with me, so I can call on Sean for some of the odd mornings go running if he's available. And once the tour is finished, now I get back to my hotel in south of France and start riding the bike again.
And keep off the Coeur d'Alene cheese sarnies as well.
Well, the Coeur d'Alene cheese is a very good cheese, of course, but I mean, it does go down very easily, but it's a long time to get rid of it then.
It's a temptation on the tour. They keep loving it, but that's like, this is very nice. I've got my running shoes too. I've been out at all so far, so I know not talk about expanding, because I think I've put on about a couple of kilos already. So, interesting tour this year. Just talk about the thing that's going on from now on in. How do you see the race? Because a lot of the people that we've looked in the past, the Cipollini's, the Pantanis, the Zullas, Dufos, all of the stars of the recent years seem to have disappeared now. And we're seeing, I've got the impression we're going through a new phase in bike racing, particularly Tour de France. How do you see it?
Well, you're definitely right, Dave. I think it's a good thing as well, because people were hanging on to the Cipollini's and the Pantanis and saying they're invincible. We need them. But look at the crowds we have here on the roads here today. Look at the crowds we've had on the road since the start in Dunkirk. I mean, nobody has really missed out on the fact that Pantani has them in here, or Cipollini. But Zabella's had a great time. But the racing has been superb. We get a lot of guys in there now. I think the mentality is changing also. Before we were riding for second place behind Ulrich or second place behind Armstrong. Now we get guys in there with a mentality of, I also have my chance of winning, and I'm going to show that I've got my pound sterling to show. I'm going to get in there and do what I can.
Thanks for that then, Stephen Roche alongside us, and Sean Kelly too. Sean giving a wry smile when we're talking about weight and riding the bikes. Good to see Stephen here though anyway, and thanks for coming. We may talk to him from time to time for the tour. I know you're a busy man and lots to do, and best of luck with your hotel. I don't know how they're existing without you there, because I suppose you have to do the cooking and carrying the bags and washing the windows and all. I got him up. Right, back to the race then. Sean, has anything happened while we've been chatting away here?
No, well, the gap is 5:10 to the 5 leaders back to the bunch, and we see it's the US Postals who are setting the pace as we forecast. They're just setting a steady pace. The bunch is quite relaxed at the moment, so this group will definitely go to the finish. And we see the leaders here. We see Jalabert actually from the car there, Barr Maurice, who won the tour a number of years ago. He's of course the director of Jalabert, the CSC team.
Yeah, it's good to see Bjorn in the sport. He was the one that was when he moved into the management of what used to be the Jack and Jones team. Had to go through hell and high water when they had memory card main sponsors last year, and Jack and Jones dropped out, and then I forget what they've been changing. They have been changing sponsors, but particularly I think memory card were part of this boom in what they call the .com stocks, and suddenly a lot of people in the .com business started to expand and and splashed money out into sponsorship to promote their business, and I think one or two of them have gone through a bit of a rough patch. In fact, the shares of most of the .com companies, not all of them, have gone through a bit of a roller coaster ride, and most of them seem to have gone down a bit like the profile of today's stage, up and down, up and down, up and down. But Bjorn has managed to keep the team organised, to get the sponsorship money organised, and is now on the race today, past winner of this race, passing down his expertise to the members of this team. But my goodness, Jalabert knows a thing or two about the Tour de France. US Postal on the screen now, a bit depleted with Van der Velde having dropped out, and it means that these riders here have got to ride very hard indeed to defend Armstrong's chance of winning a third consecutive Tour de France. There are the colours on the screen now, the orange, white and blue. That's the team from Rabobank. This is the champion of France on your screen now. I suppose some of them are going to try and let him have a bit of a burst off the front, Didier Roux, because this is Bastille Day. This is the day, July the 14th. That's the Mapei colours going through. I'll pick up some of the colours because we're getting towards the back end of our programme, and people watching our highlight programme don't know much about the bike racing. Those are the colours again of the Rabobank. Over the far side, the red and the black, that's the Lotto team. I'm going up here from the De La Tour squad, the bluish one, that's Mbappe, the pink coming back here, Telecom colours. Up in front, the green pants, that's from the Kelme squad. Who else can I pick out for you? The man just sitting up there in the blue, light blue and white, that's the AG2R team. So we'll pick up many of the teams for you of this main group rides heading to the finish at Colmore. The colours now of the US Postal team on the front for Lance Armstrong. A very strong team it is. That's Yakimov there. The rest of the team from US Postal are Jerez number 2, Hamilton 4, Hincapie there too. Let's look at the breakaways then, Mike.
Yes, David, they went away at 73 kilometres, these five. Well, they got together at 73 kilometres. Remember, 3 went away, 2 followed. And they've now been away for some considerable distance, up to 118 kilometres, which is where we are now. And you can see how this lead has steadily been increasing as the peloton, mostly being policed by the US Postal Service, doesn't seem too concerned. And I must say, I find that just a little bit strange, them allowing this lead to get up to over 5 minutes now. Who knows what it could be by the time they get to the top of this climb, the Col du Calvaire, with just one more climb to go, the Collet du Linge. It's a little bit dangerous, this break, with Jens Vogt now the virtual leader on the general classification, and very, very interestingly, Laurent Jalabert, who to me, David, looks in really, really super and relaxed form. One of the riders puncturing there. Jalabert looks very relaxed, very much in form as we watch the Jean de la Tour rider just getting a spare wheel, Laurent Roux.
Shame this one, Mike. Roux is in that breakaway group, you see, so he's got to make a quick change. He's got nobody to help him, has he?
Well, he's on his own because there's a big gap, obviously, behind now to the break, back to the peloton. But I don't think that Roux will have too much trouble to get back up now. He's very quickly away, as you can see. Even though it was a rear wheel, you saw how quickly the mechanic there was there with the spare wheel to give him the replacement. He's quickly back on his bike. He'll chase hard, and I wouldn't be too surprised if he gets back on before the other 4 reach the top of the summit of this second category climb.
He's riding on these very special Michelin tyres. I don't say because he's punctured, because that happens to anybody, by the way. And we've got a question. Visit the official. Oh no! If you want to go and see the official site tour, that's www.letour.fr. You'll get that up there too as well. But he's riding on some special tyres being developed by Michelin, and I haven't got my bit of paper in front of me. The nice man for the PR company gave all the press people information about these new tyres with that black strip in the centre, which means you can roll fast on the racing surface, and the coloured strip on the side is supposed to be when you bank it round it gets more grip and so on. And they've lightened them too as well, because they are what I call clincher tyres. They're not tubular tyres. Over many years a lot of riders were racing on the tubular tyre. That's when the outer cover with the strip of rubber in the centre of it, the outer cover came round and you've got the sidewalls, and instead of going into as you do with an ordinary bread and butter tyre where you've got like wires going through, and you used to get your mother's spoons to get it off when she wasn't looking if you wanted to change a tyre and bend the spoons and get shouted at. But anyway, that was the old-fashioned ways of doing things. But the racing cyclists had the whole of the outer cover then would be stitched with the inner tube inside it. They'd stitch it together, make it very light, because you did away with the weight of the wires round the edge of the tyre itself. So they would stitch them together. That would then enable you to put very high pressure into the tyre. So you had a light carcass, you had a very slim inner tube. As he comes back to it now, and you blow it up to enormous pressure, 110 pounds per square inch would be normal, maybe 120, and it would sit in this special tubular tyre into a little well, and it'd be stuck on with some special glue, and the actual rim too, by virtue of not having to hold the rim, the tyre in place, was much lighter too. Then the various companies, including people like Michelin, have developed a tyre which we call the clincher tyre, that's going back to the old idea of having a separate inner tube and the outer covering, but they're using Kevlar, they're using special cotton fabrics now, and special covers too, a special rubber round the outside, with some is for fast moving, some is for gripping on the road. So that's the new development, and I personally like the clinchers, because when you put them onto the very lightweight rims, they go straight on, they're easy to put on, easy to take off, and they sit very square on the rim, and that's how I see it. Now, Mike Smith also, in looking at that graphic which showed how long they had been in the lead, that breakaway group, 5 minutes or so lead at the moment after a long old lead out there. Mike was saying that he thought it was surprising to be out there, and you, Sean, was saying that you didn't think it was too bad, providing it was less than 5 minutes. Do you see the peloton begin to accelerate now, because it's growing beyond, I think, the point that you thought was inverted commas dangerous?
Well, yes, it's 5 minutes 20 at the moment. I was just listening to Johan Brunel there, and he said, well, we're not going to leave the group of Jalabert take any more than 5 to 7 minutes. He said, no way we're going to leave and take 15 minutes, because Jalabert Jalabert is Jalabert, he said. And as I said earlier on, I think Jalabert was the one that were most concerned about the US Postals. I think Weig, for the moment, yes, he's going to take the race leader jersey here, but he's not going to get over the bigger mountains. I think they will just keep on riding, and we'll see this thing. I think they will finish between 4 and 5 minutes ahead, this group of the main pack, when they finish here in the next hour and a half.
Well, there they are. That's the lead group, and the gap 5 minutes and 32 seconds. This leading group, which you saw a graphic if you're watching our live program this Saturday afternoon, the leading group is all started to begin with when Jens Voigt and this man, 147 on his screen, Rooks, they went away, got down the road, and then the chase started as the other riders came up to them, and there were 3 of them that came across. The chap in the green pants there, Jens Voigt, together with the red, white and blue colours of Nier Cuesta, and up there the paler colours on the jersey, it's actually white and light grey, but with the blue pants and the white stripe down, Basso. They got up to the 2 leaders, settled him. There was an attempt by a couple of riders, Vermouth and Echeverria, to come across them, but it never worked out, and so they went back into the main pack, and we just have this group now as the chase is now taken over by the Telecom team. US Postal, the blue jerseys behind, have been doing a lot of work so far to try and contain it, but it looks like the Telecom team have now been told to get out there and do something about it. Hovering in that group, I'd be very interested to note on most of our coverage when we go back, Sean, to the that main pack, that as we're starting to go, let's talk about this a minute. Calder Calvared, here we are, second category, and Jens Voigt, you see, it's exactly what you were saying. He can't climb, can he? This big bulky fight. He can go on the flat or the undulations, but he's struggling now, eh?
Yes, well, as I mentioned earlier on, in the stage, I think he was doing a little bit too much, probably a bit too eager to create the gap between this breakaway and the bunch, thinking about getting the yellow jersey this evening, but hopefully he doesn't pay for that and get left behind by this 5-man group, because if he does, well, it will be a lot of his own fault. He didn't have to ride, because with O'Grady, the race leader, back the road, he would never come under any pressure from the other guys having to ride if he took it a bit easier, but that's the kind of a guy he is. He's always the mentality he's got, he always rides it, and he loves that sort of thing, riding the front, pulling the groups along, and we've seen him on many occasions since the start of this tour, but hopefully he doesn't pay for it later on in this climb and the last one.
Well, I'll be watching Eurosport, I'm sure, for the first time, particularly on this Saturday afternoon back in Great Britain on our British Eurosport coverage, where where we are bringing you special information to out of Langley. You get pieces to camera there, experts there, and they're all giving you their opinions of it. We've been having throughout this week the inputs from Chris Boardman and my good friend Russell Williams and my good friend Chris Boardman have been sat back there in Langley watching what's going on. Mark Robson holding the fort, trying to keep them in some sort of order, I suppose, and Sean Kelly here, the benefits of his experience taking 4 green jerseys in the Tour de France in previous years, and one of the greatest classic winners, and also a man who knocked off the Paris-Nice at the beginning of the season, and what was it, something like 7 victories in the Paris-Nice over there, bringing you the best of bike racing. And now as they go up here over the top, you can see that Voigt was trying hard to close that gap down, but over the top of the climb now, I think it might have been Cuesta or it could have been Basso. No, in fact I think Laurent Jalabert, I think he might have got it. We'll wait for confirmation of that one. And so Jalabert is pressing on. The crowd on either side of the road here are going absolutely bananas, this being Bastille Day, and down the other side there's a swift run down, and Jalabert is a demon descender. We go down for something like about 4 or 5 kilometres, then we go up over the next climb, and then we're off down into the descent into Colmar. There's no doubt about this group is going to stay away, but Sean, Jens Voigt, when he got back there are one or two occasionally big riders that can climb and stay there. My memory going back to Indurain and the way he would be able to get up climbs, he was sort of I suppose an exception to the rule, but it's not normal, is it, for big blokes to climb the mountains?
Well, the big blokes, there's not many of them can climb, but there is, over the years we've seen some very good climbers. Perfect example, Indurain, for example. Merckx, of course, who was also a very big man. He was able to climb very well. But in general, the bigger guys have a lot of problems in the climbs, and Voigt is a guy who, he's a very strong rider to the flat. He used a very bigger gear than a lot of the climbers. So he has problems in the big climbs.
Talking about gears, again this Saturday afternoon, maybe some young lads and ladies there too as well are interested in cycling. What's your opinion about the big gears? We seem to be pushing bigger and bigger gears, cyclists do now, on the flat. But when it comes to that, I'm very interested last year to see that it seems that Armstrong might have dropped his gears a little lot or two as he climbed to 20. In fact, looking through here, you can see Armstrong, if you watch the legs going around, I think he's certainly on a slightly lower gear than this Deutsche Telekom riders. What's your opinion about gears, particularly for young riders? Do you push a big one and blow a gasket, or do you learn to turn it round, or do you just find whatever suits you?
Well, in the younger age, of course, the gear is restricted, the gear ratio, but certainly for the younger age, underage, junior ranks, to use a smaller gear is the best thing, to be able to turn the gear very, very quickly, turn the legs quickly, and something Armstrong we've seen over the last 2 years, he's able to do very, very well, and in the climbs compared to an Ulrich, for example, who pushes a much higher gear on the climbs, Armstrong, he's a much faster pedaler, and I think that's it's very important, but for underage it's more important again.
Well, talking about gears, you say, well, how the hell, motor cars have a 5-speed gearbox. Here they go down here, but Jalabert is going to rip down here, and so is Jens Voigt, because this is where the big man comes into it. Now you see how they're twiddling these gears. You say, well, what's the difference and how do you do it? Well, on the front, they have 2 chain rings at the front. The cameras sometimes will go back there. They'll be probably on the inside ring now. There's a gap, there's 39 teeth usually on the inside, and maybe 51 or 52 teeth on the outside. And so that, by switching from one ring to the other, can affect the ratio you're driving. And at the back, they usually have something like about 9 teeth on the sprockets at the back, because that's way off from the days when, first of all, the Tour de France, they rode on single speeds. That's with just one single sprocket at the back. And when they got up the mountain, they used to turn the wheel round. They take the wheel out, let's say at the bottom of the climb, turn it round and put it into with a lot more teeth on the back sprocket, and they've got the climb on the lower gear. When they got to the top, they'd jump off their bikes, turn it round and put on the sprocket or the wheel from the other side, turn it round, then you've got lesser teeth on it, and you pull the wheel back in the fork end and you go down and you get the big gear going. So nowadays though, they've got up to 9 at the back, maybe going from 11 or 12 right the way through in even to steps, and that's how they affect the rate. They must keep a constant rhythm that suits them best, whether it's uphill, down dale or on the flat. Well, Cloden at the front driving here. They've taken over the chase now, the Telecom team, just behind Wunderkraft, just behind there in the white jersey. National champion of Germany is Ulrich. We're going through a part of the world where loads of Germans are coming out of us. Look at this. This is the Tour de France. This is the 14th of July.
Yeah, David, just to butt in for a moment, if you don't mind, the 14th of July celebrations could go on even more at the end of this stage. Laurent Jalabert could possibly win the stage on Bastille Day, obviously. He could, if he gets good points on the last climb, believe it or not, he could find himself in the polka dot jersey as well. And not only that, although this isn't a Frenchman, young Ivan Basso is in a position at the moment, as we see the King of the Mountains jersey going over the top there and claiming a few points. Basso is within striking distance of taking over the young rider jersey from Jörg Jakscher as well.
All is happening here before your very eyes, live on Eurosport. Soak up the atmosphere. Just feel this today. The gap, 4 minutes 53 seconds. The 5 men ahead of the main pack, in front of an enormous crowd who are here enjoying a free spectacle on this Bastille Day. Just imagine the noise in the ears of the riders on this stage of the Tour de France from Strasbourg to Colmar, 162.5 kilometres. It's not been a very nice day. To start out this morning, a bit cloudy. Overnight, it chucked it down. And then we thought that it would clear, but now the drizzle is coming, and in the finishing straight at Colmar, the people are out cheering, everything going by as a publicity cavalcade comes through. The kids are enjoying it, but the umbrellas are out in the finishing straight now. And Aquarel, one of the sponsors of this race, they've just gone past with one of these decorated vans, and they've got a model of a lady in bikini. Fortunately, it's a model, not a real one. It's a model there relaxing on a deck chair on a sandy beach with a glass of the Aquarel water in there, and it's pouring down with rain. So it's a great entertainment for the crowd. I did have an email or a letter from somebody some time ago saying, why can't we see the convoy? Well, it takes this publicity cavalcade something like about half an hour to 40 minutes to go through, and we couldn't spend our time picking up everyone, so those who weren't on screen might be rather upset if they didn't get it. Looking down this group now, I can only see 4 riders. Sean, who's gone?
Jalabert's gone on the descent. He's left his 5 breakaway companions, and he's went ahead on the descent, and we're coming about 35 kilometres before the finish. So he's thinking of, I think, this yellow jersey, because he's going away so far out. He must be thinking of taking this yellow jersey today. He doesn't be happy enough with the stage, with the possibility of winning the stage.
What a comeback for Jalabert after that terrible accident in February this year when he fell off that ladder, hurt his back, and in fact there are question marks over his return to cycle racing, because many cyclists now listening to this program will know how much it hurts your back. Normally you can get backache, and it's difficult often. In fact, no, converse as far as I was concerned, Sean. I don't know about you, but I slipped a disc a couple of times, once playing basketball and once sitting on the edge of the bed, went to tie my shoelaces up and sneezed and took out another disc. And from time to time over the years I would get the problem, either the one that's from playing basketball just at the nape of my neck, or the other one down my back when I sneeze. But the one place I did find comfort was actually riding my bicycle. The backache seemed to go, and I'd go and ride my bike. So Jalabert went through far worse accident than that. He sort of smashed parts of his vertebrae, and they thought he wouldn't be able to ride effectively, but he took a long time off his bike. He's done it, he's got away now, and the pink jerseys here of the Telecom team have started to accelerate, but the wet weather conditions here must surely be playing in Jalabert's hands, because he's a demon descender.
Yes, well, definitely he's gone for broke, as they say, on this descent, and but I think it's it's a bit of a bit early yet. I'm surprised at Jalabert going away so early, because he needs those guys to ride to the finish with him, and I think today is the day maybe that he shouldn't be really thinking of the jersey if it's later, because Voigt, I think, when he hit other mountainous days, he will lose lose his contact in the bunch quicker than Jalabert. So these guys are going to the four guys behind. They're definitely going to ride and pull him back. So I don't see him making it on his own to the finish.
But the route, they've been running down into the wind, and now they start to go towards Colmar. They're shifting so that the wind might be slightly more on his shoulder than into the head. So on his own, certainly the headwind we've had so far must have been rather tough, but they begin to move round now, so it will be swinging onto his shoulder. So it's a demon thing to do, and to descend like this, but he's very good to do this. So I think you're quite right, Sean. I would have waited till the end of this next climb. What do you think? Because it's all the way down, isn't it, off the top of that third climb?
Yes, well, certainly that is the advantage. There's a lot of downhill, so it's going to play into an advantage on your own. You can descend very well, and it doesn't play the advantage to the ones chasing. So possibly he will stay away, but I will be surprised if they don't get organised behind those guys, because with the stage win out there, I think Voigt certainly will be very much need to get him back here, because leave Jalabert take some time on him. He doesn't need that.
Right, to recap Roland Jalabert's position on the overall general classification, he set out this morning 3 minutes and 19 seconds down on the overall leader in the yellow jersey, Stuart O'Grady, riding for the Credit Agricole team. You see now he has a lead of 9 seconds and 4 around a bit minutes back to the main group. If he gets to the finish and wins the stage, he gets 20 seconds bonus for the first man across the line. So that will help him. He's 3:19 down now, and so 20 seconds bonus will certainly help him in that one. It means that he's probably got 3:39 or thereabouts. If he finishes around about 3.5 minutes ahead of O'Grady, he will get the jersey because he crossed the line in first spot too. That's what the Laurent Jalabert has to do, as we've still got this little third category climb ahead of him before the drop into Colmar. Well, Laurent Jalabert entertaining the French crowd. They're all holding their breath to see if he can get up this last little climb and down the other side, riding for the Danish squad at the moment, and they must be pleased with this one too as well. Jalabert was talking about riding for another 2 years at the most, and he was looking to ride for a French team. Didn't quite come to any arrangements with the French team, which there are 8 riding in this race now, and it was a move by Rees to sign Laurent Jalabert for the team, the CSC team, who are providing us with lots of technical service on the computer side of the sport. So CSC Tiscali will undoubtedly be pleased with what's happening today with Laurent Jalabert. Sean, with him moving over to CSC Tiscali, do you think that's giving him a bit more freedom than, say, if he'd been riding with La France de Jure or Cofidis or something else, because he'd be trying to do many things, where he seems at the moment to have been given carte blanche. Well, that's a good French word on Bastille. They carte blanche to ride with the Danish squad and do what he can.
Well, yes, I think the CSC built the team a bit more around Jalabert. If he moved into a team which was already built and with a lot of riders, maybe other riders, a sprinter in the team, well then of course you would see that there'd be some of the team working for the sprinter of the team. So I think it's a perfect team for him, and I think it's going to suit him well, and this tour seems to be going to be a very good tour for him. He's very, very, very much present since the beginning, and already a stage winner, and possibly another stage victor today.
But what about the weather conditions here going down? It's raining here in the finishing straight. They've got this drop and another drop yet to come. Is that going to play into the hands of Laurent Jalabert, and also for this group with the Ulrichs and the Armstrongs, this world perhaps going to be a little bit less aggressive in their chasing because of the conditions?
Well, I think they will have to take it a bit more careful on the descent, because with the wet and with the group up the road at around the 4 minutes, and we see O'Grady here. He's back in the front of the bunch again, so he's recovered quite well. And also I just heard over race rate that the bunch was splitting in 2 actually, so O'Grady has recovered well. He seems to be if he can be up here at the front, well, it proves that he's back into, he's feeling comfortable again, which he didn't seem to be earlier on in the day. But with the group away of the 4 minutes, I think with Jalabert's group, I think the peloton will take it a bit easy in the descent. They won't be inclined to take as much risk as they would if they were going for the stage victory.
Well, Jalabert then getting... That's great. There's Bjorn Rees, past Tour de France winner, handing over a drink to Jalabert, having a quick chat to him here about the tactics, because I'm sure his heart must have been up in his mouth, Bjorn Rees, when he saw Laurent Jalabert go away. Do you think that was just sort of tester from Laurent, or was he sort of scared that somebody might fall off and the best thing to do is get the hell down the road?
No, I think it's a question of the descender, and Jalabert is very good in the descents, and as you said, David, he just descended at the pace that he felt comfortable, and he felt he wasn't taking any risk. The other guys, they may not be as good as descender as Jalabert, and that's why the gap opened there, and he just went on. But I don't think he didn't persist too much to try to go it alone. So I think it's the thing to do, because he needs those riders today to get to the finish and to try and hold out there and finish with a number of minutes ahead of this of the main pack.
Well, those of you who are new to watching our coverage of cycle racing, Eurosport, we've been on air now since 1989 it was when we first covered the Tour de France, and that was the year that Greg LeMond won by just those slender 8 seconds. The Tour de France always full of drama, and also full of some strange people too. You may have seen on the left hand side then a man leaping up and down with a pair of red leg warmers and a pair of red horns sticking out the top of his head, complete with a trident. That is the amazing devil, Didi the Devil, who comes from Berlin. And he first appeared in the Tour de France in 1993, and he was up there waving his trident, sprinting up alongside the mountain climber leading at that time, who was none other than Claudio Chiappucci, was known as the Devil in Diablo as well. And so since then he's popped out not only to the Tour de France, but I've also seen him in the Tour of Italy, the Tour of Spain, and he went all the way over to the Olympics too as well. Real oddball, but he does it for a particular reason, by the way. I'll just fill this in. Many people know him because they've watched Eurosport's coverage over the years, but I know my colleagues on the terrestrial side didn't always have a chance to put oddballs in like that. But Didi designs, invents and makes strange bicycles for various commercial reasons, and maybe somebody wants an outrageous bicycle for a carnival or to promote a company's product, and Didi specialises in making very strange bicycles, and he's got one that tows round the Tour de France, an enormous great thing. It's about 10 or 12 feet high, and that's his trademark, and he pops up and usually ends up about no more than about 10 kilometres from the finish. So this lot's beginning to break up now. They'll also be cheered on by the Demon Devil, who, when he went off to the Olympics, was first of all had his special insignia taken away from him, because he welded together 5 sprockets in the shape of the Olympic rings. So he got 5 sprockets and welded them, like 3 at the top and 2 at the bottom, hung them around his neck and tried to get on an airplane like that. And of course they looked at it and said, "This is a dangerous weapon, Mr. Didi." So they took it off him, much to his sort of irate attitude. He didn't want them to take it up, though they gave it back to him when they got to Sydney. You may also see he's leaping up and down with a metal trident. Well, he wasn't allowed to take that on the aeroplane either, so he had a blow-up version made, and during the Olympics he was out there with his blow-up version of the trident, and they gave him back his 5 welded together sprockets. And I actually saw him in Centennial Park where the time trial was going round, and part of the road race too as well, and he was apprehended by the police because somebody phoned up and said there's this vagrant here in the park, and he's acting rather strangely. So the police turned up, and I was going around on my bike, and I discovered there that the police sergeant with Didi, and I thought, oh dear, I better intervene here, because he doesn't speak a word of English, he just speaks German, and I don't speak any German either. I thought I'd explain it well. And I discovered that the police sergeant and a couple of his mates out there, first of all his mate had apprehended what they thought was a strange oddball character, and then it turned out the sergeant who came along to apprehend this gentleman was a great follower of the Tour de France and had actually seen him on television. So lots of photography was brought into actions, all pictures taken all the way around, and Didi went off, and that was that. So that's a man you've just seen down there. A bit of a background to those of you who don't know what was going on, but certainly he's very interested. He's an amazing character, and we put up with him, and the riders do too. He's part of I suppose, the whole way in which this sport has to have its humorous side, apart from the very serious side. Now, as you're seeing here at the Col de Ling on the 3rd category climb, 138 kilometres covered so far, and over the top of here, it's all downhill. Once they get there, they've got to go a little bit further. The amazing thing was that once they get over the top, there's a little blip at Inglesheim, but it's only about maybe half a kilometre, and then it goes on down to Colmar. So from here on in as a massive crowd had turned out to cheer the ride. Let's again soak up the atmosphere of the Tour de France and Bastille Day.
Runter und die anderen auch nicht. Aber immer am letzten Augenblick ist die Straße.
4 minutes 50 is the gap at the moment. Sean, do you think that's enough now as they come off the top of this climb? Because they've now got to going down to the finish into Colmar. 24 kilometres to go. The German rider there, Jens Voigt, providing he keeps cool and keeps Jalabert in control, could well be going into the yellow jersey. And Colmar just down the road on the edge of Germany, just across the Rhine is the German border. It's a great day for the French really, because this is Bastille Day, but Jens Voigt certainly looks like he might move into yellow jersey. That's the one at the moment being worn by his teammate Stuart O'Grady. Will he make it?
Yes, certainly. With downhill 24 kilometres, they will certainly make it, and I don't think in the bunch they're going to be a major activity, because with that gap and with the downhill, I think a lot of riders are going to be taking it a bit on the safer side, so I would see these guys coming in, and Jalabert, I think we could see him on the descent again if he does his normal thing where he goes down quite hard and the other guys have difficulty in following him. We could see him going away on his own again on this final descent.
Well, this is the main peloton coming through, and they look a bit relaxed about this. And Britain's David Miller, by the way, is in the main pack now. Those who are joining us later on in the programme, I'm sure would like to know that David was quite chirpy this morning going up to the top of the first climb, the Col de Kreuzberg. That came after 48 kilometres of racing. He took off at the bottom of the climb and went up there with a couple of other riders and looked very happy indeed and very comfortable. He didn't quite make it to the top. There you can see the man who made it to the top of this last climb, Laurent Jalabert, the French rider, on Bastille Day, the 14th of July. David Miller looked like he recovered, and Sean, I was very pleased to see him having a go up there this morning, and to me it gave, I thought, a lot of confidence to the rider who just exactly 7 days ago crashed in the prologue time trial and has soldiered on ever since. The pink jerseys, only one or two of them here. A lot of mixture of other coloured jerseys round about, following on behind the blue jerseys of the US Postal. The one white jersey back 1, 2, 3, 4 from the front is Jan Ullrich, heading in towards German soil with Jens Voigt, his countryman, but Jens rides for the Crédit Agricole, heading into maybe the yellow jersey for Jens Voigt, and the battle for the jersey into Paris will be conducted later on down the Alps and the Pyrenees. Just behind the white jersey of Ullrich, I think I can see the colours, the blue and the yellow colours of Christophe Moreau. Also too up there, the Once riders beginning to gather close behind as well, and they have got a lot of riders up in the general classification. There are less than 4 Once riders running through 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th spot over on general classification. To remind you of the situation coming towards the finish now, O'Grady wears the yellow jersey. The Australian for Crédit Agricole has a lead of 26 seconds as at this morning over Jens Voigt from Crédit Agricole, the German rider in the breakaway group just up the road from this lot here, and the gap then is over 4 minutes as they come over the top of the climb, the peloton to chase after them. In 3rd spot this morning, Bobby Julich, the rider from the Crédit Agricole, is at 27 seconds as well. So then into 4th spot, I just said there's a great wodge of Once riders. Gonzalez Galdiano at 57 seconds 4th. Bellocchi for Once, 1 minute and 7 seconds in the rear is 5th. 6th overall, Carlos Sastre, also for Once, 1 minute and 8 seconds, and behind them in 7th spot is Jörg Jasker for Once at 1 minute and 12. They're wearing the pinky coloured jerseys. They normally ride in yellow. 4:45 confirmed the gap now. They normally wear yellow jersey, but they can't wear them in the Tour de France, the Once team, because they would cause confusion with the overall yellow jersey of the race leader. Christophe Muller, we've seen him down there in the the blue and the yellow for the Festina team. 8th spot this morning, 1 minute 17 seconds. In 9th spot, Ivan Guterres for Once. Just shows you there are 5 Once riders in the top 9 at 1:20. And in fact, bringing up the 10th place is Serrano, Marcos Serrano, again for Once at 1 minute and 23 seconds. The reason that we've got those 6 riders in the top 10 places from Once is the way in which they performed in the team time trial, which we had a couple of days ago. Looking further down the list, Lance Armstrong this morning, last year's winner and the winner the year before, is 15th at 1 minute and 53 seconds, and Botero is at 2:11, another danger man, whilst Ulrich at 2:20 is back in 19th spot, another past winner of the Tour. That's the situation now. More statistics, Mike.
Yes, David. Well, we're coming down to the finish in Colmar, as you say, very close to the German border. We've been there 5 times before. The great André Leduc was the first winner in Colmar way back in 1931. Raphael Geminiani, Roger Hassenford, who we mentioned earlier, the great comedian, used to pull faces and stick his tongue out at cameras. Remember him in the 50s? And of course, Australia's very own Neil Stevens, the winner there 4 years ago. Could we have another Australian winner today?
Well, Mike, you said that Hassenford was a bit of a joker. In fact, I think he worked as a clown in a circus for part of his career before he became a bike rider. And you're a great man for the Isle of Man. You go over there and do all the public address commentaries. And I went across many years ago when the Isle of Man would invite a number of professionals across to take part in a pro race. We had a lot of British pros, or independents as we used to call them in those days. And I remember Darrigard went across there. We had Tom Simpson go. And one year, Hassenford was part of the imports from the continent, and I was in the pits. I think we got a fellow called Ian Brown, and I was actually at that time the marketing manager of the Armstrong Cycle Company. It was part of the Phillips Group, and so Armstrong was a name on bikes. And we've got Ian Brown, who had been a semi-pro riding on the continent, who came to us as one of our reps, and he's still got something left in his legs. So we had a one-man Armstrong team which rode in the Isle of Man International, and there was this group of riders going around. We even had people like Anquetil riding. On this particular occasion, I was in the pits, and there one of the riders retired reasonably early on. And as he was going back towards the hotel and just went round the corner of where I was, he was stopped by some of the spectators. There's a lot of spectators there in the Isle of Man, as you know, who asked for his autograph. And so Hassenford signed his autograph and went away. And then this person said, "Who was that?" I said, "Hassenford." He said, "Oh, he signed his name John Smith in my autograph book."
A likely story. Now then, I said that Jalabert could possibly take over as the King of the Mountains. There's the ranking after the 3rd climb. We've had it confirmed. Remember that since then, he's won the last 2 climbs. So he picked up 20 points for the penultimate climb, which was a 2nd category climb. He's picked up more points on the last climb. So it's all down now to how many points Algon, the present holder of the polka dot jersey, has picked up for minor placings. I know he got a few points on the 4th climb, that all-important 2nd category climb, David, but I don't think he'll have scored at all on the last one because not so many riders are eligible for points. We could see Jalabert in polka dot.
Well, that'll be something. Oh gosh, I better look to my castle book again. I haven't got time for that today. It's getting very close to the end of the stage, and we have to see. Here's George Hincap. He drives the bunch along for the US Postal. If they can pull back some of that gap, then it's up to US Postal now to start the driving. I can see 1 or 2 of the jerseys of Credit Agricole could begin to drift towards the front, and Sean, always lying about 5th or 6th back is Morrow, not Francis, the other one, Christophe Morrow. It doesn't seem to get much support from the Festina squad. You either see the lads from US Postal out there in the blue, you either see the pinky coloured jerseys of Telecom, occasionally infiltrating one or 2 other teams, but he seems to be almost on his own for the Festina squad.
Well, at this moment I don't think it's a major concern. There's surely a number of the Festina team here. Well, certainly Florent Brad is there because he's quite a good climber. We see him earlier in the week. He was wearing the young riders jersey. It's not a concern for Moreau to be there on the front. He's just staying up there really to be out of danger on the descent with the wet roads. He just wants to be as close to the front as possible. So I don't think he'll be major concerned about not having any teammates around around him at this moment. In the team times, well, of course, we see him doing very well, and the Festina team doing quite a nice ride, and he was very happy with that performance by the team.
And well, it looks drier out there in that part of the course, and looking outside our commentary box here in the finishing straight, it is drying out a little bit, but it could persist again shortly. Well, looking across from commentary point, I can just see there's a man holding a banner. Attenzione, basso in azione. Now, I don't know what he said, I-O-N-E. The 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes is the gap now at the moment. 16 kilometres to go. So they've just got 10 miles left, and it's all downhill from here. And 3:57 actually, so just shaved another 3 minutes back. So Attenzione, basso in azione is the banner that an Italian spectator is holding up here behind the VIP gantry, and so possibly basso, a pretty quick turn of speeds may be a spanner in the works as far as Jalabert is concerned, because he won't take any prisoners today. I'm sure the Italian will look for a victory, because he's quite a young lad and quite a fast finisher too as well. There's a long run down. I don't think somehow that they're going to see that gap coming back, so Voigt just has to stay upright. He is going to be in yellow, and that I'm sure will still warm the hearts of the supporters of Crédit Agricole. And although Stuart O'Grady has had that race since we finished up the mountain in Serang, or up the climb in Serang, just after we came round through Liège and up there after the start in Louis, then certainly the Crédit Agricole will have the yellow jersey still. They're dominating the team as well, the team classement, so they're going to be very happy. I think a bit of a wry smile maybe on Stewie's face that well, so what, sport, let's dip to another day. He's on the left hand side of the screen here, and I suppose really the thing that he's got to do, Sean, is to get himself some points in the green jersey competition, because I think Zabel's made it into this group. One time he was stuck a bit when that crashed, but I think he may have got back, so we could see a head-to-head in this group between O'Grady and Zabel, and even perhaps Cursivu, although Cursivu got dropped off on the first climb. What do you think? Yes, well, certainly Cursivu, he's gone, he's in the gruppetto, but and also I'm concerned about Zabel, because this group have split and there's only 50 riders in this leading part of the bunch, so I would be I'm not sure if Zabel is in there, so an opportunity for O'Grady to take some points if he's not, but certainly if Zabel is in there, we will see O'Grady making the sprint and to try and pick up some points in the green jersey classement. And we see him earlier on in the day. There was a sprint for the bonifications. I think it was after 21 kilometres. We see him. He was staying up close to the front in the sprint. O'Grady was. He was following Zabel, so he's definitely watching the points for the green jersey. A quick look back then, Sean, at the victors at each part of the race so far. 3:55. We went through a sprint to begin with, and the winner of that at Aubenas, and the winners of each of the stages after that. So we've had quite a bit of activity here. Just to take us through the winners of each of those key points today. Yes, well, we had a very active. The first number of kilometres were at a nice pace, but then it started racing, and there was a lot of attacks. And on the first mountain, the first KOH at 48 kilometres, we had Lopez de Munen from Esquetel, who went over the top first. Algon was second, Kibalev was third, and Goubert was fourth. And the 67 kilometre mark, Col de Fuchy, Lopez de Munes again, he was first at the top. Algon was second, and Atienza was third. And then after 90 kilometres, Jalabert led over the group of this 5-man group. Cuesta was second, and Voigt was third. And at 124 kilometres, Jalabert was first again, Cuesta and Basso. And on the final climb, Jalabert once again from Voigt and Roux. So Jalabert very active in the latter part of this stage and leading all the last 3 climbs of the day. They've been through a delightful part of France. This area here, northern Alsace, paying host to the Tour de France, both on yesterday's 13th stage. Friday it was. It turned out to be lucky for everybody. Nobody fell off, nobody got really hurt. We now moved on to 14th of July, Bastille Day. A lot of French spectators along the route, and many gathered here to see if France can get a victory on this famous day. We've had French victors in the past on Bastille Day. Laurent Jalabert is in his breakaway group, won the stage into Mende, and that was sandwiched between the one that Brochard got and the one which was taken before that by the ever-singing, all up and dancing man himself, who's now causing a great deal of trouble, I think, up there for the French television station, because we do have an amazing character into this finish here, and he took the yellow jersey too, and he's now entertaining the viewers out on the other side of the terrestrial station. So as they come down here, can Laurent Jalabert do what Brochard did, what was about 3 years ago now, and take over that victory coming in towards the finish today? Let's not think then of Vincent Barteau, because he not only, when he took the jersey, he kept it for an awful long time after that as well. That was down into Marseille. So the victors then, Brochard, Jalabert and Vincent Barteau. Barteau down into Marseille, and he took the victory, and certainly the fireworks flew that night. The Marseillaise, by the way, the famous French national anthem, was actually first of all way back in Strasbourg. That is where it was first, his name was, if I can find it, Roger de Lille. He actually composed the French national anthem in 1792 in Strasbourg, where we come from today. It became in those days called the Battle Song of the Rhine Army, because up he's gone! So Basso's gone. The man with the banner on the far side of our commentary point now will be off the white mark again, and Voigt nearly went down too. That really, Sean, the big bunch behind, that's going to make them come down here quite slowly, so no doubt that five-man group going to stay away, eh?
Well, definitely the five-man group is definitely going to stay away, David. 3:49 down into the finish, and you know, the peloton, I think, in the bunch of Ulrich Armstrong, we're always going to take it a bit easy, because they have the US postal guys on the front, and they're not going to take any risk. But Jalabert is the man who's done the damage, and I thought when I see the guy going down, it was Jalabert, because he's pushed it very, very hard, and now he's gone on his own. He's definitely the better descender on those descents. We've seen him earlier on, he went ahead again, and these guys have major problems trying to follow Jalabert at the moment.
So that's it then, Jalabert heading into victory. Marseille will sound, I'm sure, throughout the length and breadth of France, if he gets it today. Through these delightful villages, we have seen the race unfold right the way through the start this morning, and it's never stopped. This has been a great race, although the main group decided to back off when this five-man group got properly established, and the fact that Voigt had gone so far down the road that they decided, well, let him go, he can't climb the mountains. But Sean Kelly, you were saying earlier on that Jalabert is still a danger. Now on that descent, will that enable Jalabert to improve his chances of getting the yellow jersey at some point, maybe as we go into more undulating circumstances, and maybe on the Alpe d'Huez or the time trial after that, eh?
Well, I don't think it will improve his chances of getting the jersey majorly, because he's not going to take a lot of time from Voigt here. He's going to chase right to the finish. But Jalabert, I think the stage, the day that's in it, that's what he's going for now, and I think he can hold off out there, because if it continues on with a lot of corners right to the finish, down to the centre, and there's a 15-second gap at the moment, I think it will be difficult for the other guys to come back on it.
Now, Mike Smith back in Paris. We're here watching an exciting race here, and I know you're doing the same, but you've been scratching the numbers on the King of the Mountain. You felt that Allsey might be going into the polka dot jersey. Have you got any more sums for us?
There's a very good chance of that, actually, David, because the computer is suggesting, I'm not sure whether this is correct yet, but the computer's suggesting that he's actually got the same number of points now as Patrice Algon. I have to tell you, just by reservation. My calculations are slightly different, so I'm waiting for it to come up officially. If he does finish up with the same number of points as Algon, he will take the polka dot jersey because he's got the better placings on the more difficult climbs, the second category climbs. But at the moment, those figures are subject to confirmation.
Hey, boy, there'll be some fireworks in Paris tonight, Mike, if he gets the polka dot jersey and he wins the stage as well. And he closes that gap. No, don't forget, he's going to get 20 seconds benefit as well from the run in here, which will again improve his position overall in general classification. So if he gets the stage victory, he gets the polka dot jersey, I don't think there's going to be many people sleeping tonight in Paris.
That's true.
Across the rest of
and also, of course, he would create another little bit of history. He'd be the first Frenchman to win on Bastille Day twice.
Ah, you're a mine of information, Mr. Smith. Right, well, Sean, yes?
Yes, I think he will hold off to the finish because he's riding very, very strong. Also, he's taken his corners very, very well. I think better than the other guys we've seen that on the descents, but also on the flatter pass. I think he will gain a bit of time, and I would see him going into the finish here alone and taking the stage today.
Well, looking down the list of starters in the Tour de France, and even the last few days, at gap 4 minutes and 15 seconds, would any of us have predicted that Jalabert, who had that horrific fall off the ladder in February this year and was hospitalised, had the bad back and was really unable to go training for an awful long time and had a very staggered start to his season. Look at the way this man is driving along here now. Laurent Jalabert turned pro in 1989 for the Toshiba team. He was born on the 30th of November 1968, so coming up now it will be his 31st birthday, and what a long time he's been there. And just look at the success he's had over the years. In 1989 he had 3 victories, 90 4 victories, 91 2 victories, then he started to accelerate. 92 he had 9 victories, 93 17 victories with the Onsei team, 1994 11 victories with the Onsei team, 95 28 victories with Onsei, and then 96 15 victories, and so on. 22 victories, 13 victories, 14 victories, 11 victories, for a total of 150. These 3 can do nothing then to catch Laurent Jalabert. He had his 150th victory when he won that stage just a few days ago when they came into Verdun. He nearly took the yellow jersey then. He was with Dirksons and the gap at one time coming the last 2 or 3 kilometres. It looked like he would get the yellow jersey, but in the end the bunch accelerated and the yellow jersey on the shoulders of O'Grady was safe for yet another day. But Jalabert showed enormous determination into Verdun. He got his stage victory there. His 150th career. He's on for another one now. This is the run-in, as you can see on your screen. Coming round here, that left-hander, well, it's not too bad for small groups to go through. The rain's been coming and going, and now it's eased off now, but the road is still rather wet. In that final kilometre, long straight up there, the Route de Strasbourg into Colmar to finish the stage today. Sean, well, as I said earlier in our programme, that so many of the journalists and the devotees of cycling have likened Jalabert to yourself, your good self, in the years that you were riding. And just how do you feel right now with this man riding? And he looks so great, doesn't he, eh?
Yes, well, he looks he looks very well. He looks very strong, and he's definitely on a very good chance of winning this. Voigt is really the only one who's doing a lot of work behind, because he also he dreams to win a stage in the Tour of France, but I think today Jalabert is going to pull this one off.
Well, I suspect that my co-commentator, or my colleague on the left-hand side here, Patrick Chassé, who gets excited at the normal times, is probably going to blow a gasket here. And I surreptitiously here have got my open microphone, and we might, dear viewer back at home, if you suddenly hear a burst of French, it's because I'm going to shove the mic that way, because I'd like you all to hear back in England the reaction of a French commentator when a Frenchman wins a stage at Tour de France on Bastille Day. It might blow the valves in your television. I'm not going to show the mic yet. You won't know what's going on, but I should be prepared to turn the sound down if I were you. What do you think, Sean, about the French reaction to this great run? I mean, he's a grand champion. He's got so much support in France. I mean, there are many people. We're just hearing now.
105 Basso.
Right.
So he's lost time, but also interestingly the bunch has lost time because they were around the 3:45 and now they're down to 4:15. So they are taking it easy on the descent. They're not taking any risk. And as we forecast, I think the US Posters will take it easy in the descent. Another 30 seconds or a minute is not going to change a lot for them. But Voigt is. We see Voigt there. He was trying to get the other guys to ride with him. So he's getting quite nervous, and he's not getting a lot of support from the other guys with him. And I think Jalabert he will have a major difficulty in pulling him back. And I think Jalabert will take this one today.
2 kilometres to go, and we're going to hear a cacophony of sound, not only from the spectators on either side of the road, but also as we see the Union Jack on the far side there, they'll be celebrating when David Miller comes through, who played his part in the early few kilometres when he tried to go away in the group up toward the top of the Kreuzberg climb. That was 48 kilometres into the race. From then on, over the top of the climbs, we had 2 third category climbs, followed by 2 second category climbs and a third category climb. And it was that Jalabert went away and joined up with the 5-man, or made 5-man leading group. On the left-hand side of me is Patrick Chassé, the Frenchman, here on the 14th of July. I'm sure he's going to blow a gasket. But on the other side of me, to make this cacophony even one ear left of the French guy, one on the right-hand side, is the German commentary team too out there at the moment. Klaus Angermann, who's been on, I think, 34 Tour de France's now, and Tony Rominger doing the German commentary. Here comes the German rider in the green and white. He's now starting to wind up Klaus Angermann on the other side, and Patrick Chassé. This is an emotional day in the Tour de France, and boy, this race over the years has had many emotional moments, but you're witnessing live today Laurent Jalabert not only going to win a stage in the Tour de France on the 14th of July Bastille Day, but achieving this for the second time in his career. It's not been done before, and right now the whole of the audience are looking down the finishing straight for a ceremony. I won't say lap of honour, but he's coming down, he's still driving hard. Laurent Jalabert starting out this morning on general classification in 25th place, 3 minutes 19 seconds down. He won't take the yellow jersey because Voigt was up ahead of him, and as he comes down here, he's going to get the stage victory. His second stage victory in the Tour de France. A great time for the French, a great time for Jalabert. We're all glad to see him back after that horrific injury when he had that crash at home in February. He fought himself back into fitness, as he did when he fell on his face in Armentières in a horrific crash which smashed the teeth, made it impossible for him to eat except through straws for day in, day out. He got back on his bike, then he came back to pro cycle racing, and he just will not say die. He's coming down here to get the victory, and you can see it on his face. He will not let up. As Jalabert looks back, there's nobody in sight. He's got there Jean-Marie Leblanc in the back, can celebrate too.
Et ça, eh bien, ça mérite le respect devant un grand coureur qui s'impose aujourd'hui, aux yeux de tous, aux yeux du public de Colmar. Laurent Jalabert est vraiment redevenu le numéro de.
Well, that's it then, and now looking down the straight for the green jersey, Klaus Angermann.
Jetzt holt sich noch diese 12 Sekunden. Sparsam sind sie. Jean-Marie Leblanc, da hinten wie ein Bernardiner ruht der Kopf regungslos, und er möchte am liebsten nach oben springen. Laurent Jalabert. Oh, das ist es. 10-mal Frankreich-Rundfahrt, 2-mal grünes Trikot und nun zum zweiten Male an einem der höchsten.
Well, Klaus is as completely wound up with Laurent Jalabert as Voigt getting the yellow jersey. We're all the same. This is a great moment. Let's all savour it together. Take the atmosphere, and Jalabert gets the stage. Well, you couldn't write a script like this one. These are bike riders at their best, performing on the roads from Strasbourg to Colmar. The Frenchman Jalabert, his 151st victory, his second time he's won a stage in the Tour de France on Bastille Day. Chapeau! Jens Voigt coming down the straight here, punching the pedals to save every vital second, and according to our calculations now has gone up there into the yellow jersey, and that means the Craig Agricultural team can celebrate yet again the continuation of the yellow jersey in their squad. Stuart O'Grady in the bunch here will have lost it, but Sean, you've got the suspicion he's got to go for a bunch sprint here, eh, Stuart?
Yes, well, Stuart is definitely he's going to go for the sprint. There's still a lot of points to be had here, so we will definitely see O'Grady going for the sprint and try to take to maximum points. And the interesting one is we haven't had anything with Zabel, and we haven't had any shot of this peloton further back, so we don't know if Zabel is still in this group of 50 men as we see Hincapie still pulling this group along.
Well, Zabel coming into the stage today had the green jersey with 93 points that he collected so far in the competition. Stuart O'Grady had 85 points in the competition. Jan Kursifu, who we also think has been blown out in the climbs today. As we looked at Morrow coming through, there is Ulrich for the German Telecom squad, and my goodness, the Germans will celebrate the fact that Voigt has got it. There's Lance Armstrong. Theo flicked his hand there for some reason. I think there must be an obstruction somewhere down the road, but anyway, up on the far side, this could be an attempt by Sferrada and Hunter to try and get some points in the competition for the green jersey, because Hunter, the Lamprey rider, is at 49 points in the competition, but running down that, Zabel had 93, O'Grady had 85, and we just see they come into this final kilometre now. The first 5 riders finish, so if we go down the points then for the 6th place man will be 15 points. Now if O'Grady gets this, that will give him 100 points. If O'Grady in yellow on the left hand side gets the sprint here, he could take the green jersey too. What a day we've had, so watch for this one. Watch to see if O'Grady can finish there in 6th spot. Even if 7th, he gets 14 points, it would make him 99. It looks like O'Grady could take the green jersey then. This morning Zabel 93 points, O'Grady 85 points. As he comes down here, there was 8 points separating this morning. O'Grady needs to finish better than about 13th. 5 have already gone now. Can O'Grady be in there? In fact, there's 1, 2, 3 have gone away. O'Grady's missed it if he's not careful, with 3 gone away now as Brochard starts to drive forward here. Forget the time on the clock. He's going to use the yellow jersey, but he's got to get up there as O'Grady and finish in probably about no worse than 12th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 still out there. O'Grady starts to come through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He might have missed it. I think he might have been 6th or 6th in that bunch, which means he might have been 10th, which will give him 96 points. It's close, it's close, it's close, but as Jalabert celebrates his stage victory and possibly the Kingdom Out, Jean-Marie Leblanc looks quite emotionless there, absolutely spaced out in his race. It's Jalabert's day. Looks like we've got an interview coming up with Jalabert at the moment.
Ma première victoire dans le Tour cette année à Verdun, ça m'a beaucoup libéré. Et je sais que tout le monde est fatigué.
I'm very happy. My first stage gave me a lot of strength in Verdun.
Que je suis devant, je savais qu'aujourd'hui j'avais reconnu cette étape et je savais que ça pouvait partir de loin et que si c'était le cas ce serait difficile.
I have a lot of morale.
Et voilà quoi, c'est formidable.
And I knew we could do a long breakaway today. It's incredible, my second stage victory on the 14th of July. I am very happy.
Il y a eu la chute, il y a eu pratiquement un concours de circonstances. Écoutez, j'ai fait toute la journée, j'ai fait toutes les descentes à bloc. C'est un exercice où je me sens très à l'aise.
What decided you to go on the descent? I was making the front. I had a lot of speed.
Ils m'ont beaucoup marqué dans la dernière descente et pratiquement personne ne voulait prendre le relais. Donc j'ai continué à foncer. Et je crois que
I made a little mistake in the descent of the Calvaire. When I attacked, it was a little bit of a mistake.
Continuer sur ma lancée et d'arriver en solitaire. Je crois que la victoire est encore plus belle.
He's sorry for what happened to Bazot, but he said it's incredible for me to win alone here.
Well, Laurent Jalabert going off now after that interview, and well, I think the people watching the Tour de France all across France today, because as it's a complete public holiday, in fact it's Saturday, I'll be off work anyway, but as it is a public holiday, I'm sure that up across the length and breadth of the nation there have been a sigh of relief when he crossed the line, and in fact they're still saying Zabel is in green jersey and Algren is polka dot. So as what's the arrival of Laurent Jalabert, do you agree that then, Mike, back there about the polka dot jersey staying with Algra?
Well, yes, yes, David. I was watching my computer and it came up with the total being level. Their two totals being level. I disagreed with that. I always thought in my own mind that Algon had still got it. He's got far more than Jalabert's 50 points by my calculations, and I'm quite happy to hear that they've just said that Algon does in fact retain the polka dot jersey.
But how can they at the moment then rate that Zabel's still got the jersey unless he came in that group somewhere, because O'Grady had 85 versus 93 this morning. So let's just celebrate this and come back for the numbers, because I'm questioning that. But there's no doubt about who won the stage today. It wasn't a stat finish. It was a photo finish. It was Jalabert coming in, taking that victory in a convincing style at the moment, and there is yet again up on the box, and this, according to my list, is his 151st major victory. These are the ones that count to the UCI points, not the sort of criterium races or small races, but the ones that are on the UCI list for the UCI points. And now you see there in the light coloured jacket is Bernard Hinault. In fact, we're going back then to him being congratulated here at the moment. In fact, yes, that's Bjorn Rees now we're getting the shot off there. Well, that certainly, I think, has confirmed his decision in taking Laurent Jalabert into the team, and the overall classification confirmed then that Voigt is in the lead, and look who is second, and look who is in third. A big gap there on the classification. Well, Sean, that's, as we see, Voigt taking the jersey here, the yellow jersey. And the moment of emotion, Klaus Angermann. Well, you heard the final words there from Klaus, and as I say, we're just across the Rhine is the German border. A lot of Germans here at the moment. What a day then! Can you imagine? A Frenchman wins the stage, a German just close the border gets the yellow jersey. This has been some bike race today, Sean. You've been on many, you've actually taken part in many, but this, I've not seen a mixture like this before. What do you think?
Yes, well, it's for Voigt, it's a great day. It's a day that he will. I suppose he's probably he's dreamt about, but to take the jersey here so close to the German border for him, it's fabulous. But Jalabert, what a ride again today, and a second stage win. He's matched Zabel. Zabel is the other rider who won 2 stages in the tour already, so Jalabert matches that. But look at how he's moved up in the general, up to second overall, and he's in a very good position there, maybe to take the yellow jersey later in the week, over the next number of days. So he's done it's been a fabulous day for Jalabert and for Voigt.
Now there's the list of the finishers. Jalabert, Voigt, Rooks, Cuesta, Basso, they're all in that group that got away. Now they opened up a gap. You can see they're going back to 10th spot on your